battery repair video. This is a Welger AP51. It was built in the mid to late 60s. First I'm going to do just a quick overview of the baler. The main issue on the baler is there's an outer missing because the baler got plugged up. Now here's an overview of the existing knotter, and you can see there's nothing here. Also, one of the needles got destroyed. This is the one that still survived. And now I'm gonna try putting it together. Here's pretty much a disassembled knotter. This is the body, this is the leaf spring, this is the little spring that goes on top of this. This is the bill hook with the little gear. Here's the gripper with the knife here, and all the gears and all the shafts. This is pretty much it disassembled. When I got the baler, I only got this and this and this. Everything else I had to buy. Oh, also this little gear. Everything else I had to buy, which thankfully, I guess, these were the most expensive things on the knotter, except for the body, which is kind of a, yeah, but you can't really work without it. This is where the needles go, these little holes. And there we go, they're installed. Okay, so it's been a little while, and I finally got this thing to work. What you can notice is that the knotters, since the last time you saw it, are swapped around. That's because I had a big problem with this. This, as you can see, is a new part, and it kind of keeps the whole hinge system of the knotter tightly, or not even that tightly, wrapped on the shaft. And the problem was, because I had to take this apart many times to finally see and look at the old part that came apart, you know, this. The new part doesn't have this. And what this meant was that when I was tightening those bolts, the whole top part and the bottom part was just tightly squeezing on the shaft, which meant the shaft couldn't move so well. And what ended up happening was that this gripper stopped halfway because it was just so tight, and I couldn't figure it out. And then when I looked at the old part, finally saw this and measured it and realized it's the same size as like a little normal washer. So I put a washer in between there, moved perfectly. And then I had another problem. Finally got both grippers to finally move freely. Everything was moving freely, nothing was wrong. So I put the needles back on, and there was another problem. It brought the string all the way up, but not enough. It brought it up just to here, and the gripper couldn't reach it. It missed every single time, or if it didn't miss, it just somehow hit it in between the twine, so it tore it apart, and just a whole mess. And I took them apart again, everything, all the settings, found settings, how tight this has to be, how tight this has to be. I measured it, everything was fine up here. And I basically went forward, and you can see that the yoke is kind of a different color than before. This is a new part. It's not painted well, but it's a new part. The yoke, the old yoke on the baler was bent about 30 degrees or 40 degrees to the right. When the main impact happened, when this baler got plugged up, this part must have just shifted very badly, and it meant that it would shift it back. So then when I put the new needles on, it meant the needles couldn't reach. So, well, that was a whole part I had to order. We ordered a part. I put the needles back on. This side went well. I put the other needle on, and this side was scraping against, you can see where the hole was scraping over there. So what was wrong? Everything, the shape in the part was all right, but the problem was this side. This kind of this is where you put the needle. This thing was about 2 centimeters close to here. So we cut that part off, moved it 2 centimeters over there, and welded it back on, put the needle back on, and now it works. It grabs the twine, it makes the knot. Since this side has a new bill hook, the knot goes off perfectly. This side still has the old bill hook, so there's still some resistance, but with use it might work, and a little bit of WD-40, it will over time be more and more smoother. So now I'll put you over here, and I'll hand spin the baler so you can see how everything works. I'll try focusing on one auto so you can see how the whole system works on one side. All right. And there we go. The baler has produced 2 little baby bales with good looking double knots. Perfect. There we go. Down. Here you can see I have the PTO set up already on the trusty old Iher. One problem here I want to do, one thing I want to do before starting the PTO is kind of change the oil in the gearbox, because I'm pretty sure the guy that had this before didn't even touch that. But one problematic thing is I got the wrenches out, tried turning it around, and kind of noticed that this bolt and the bottom one are they weren't even tightened. They were just hand tightened. I could just spin them around like this, which is kind of a problem. So let's see how much oil we got in here. There we go. It's got a little dipstick. Focus on the camera, but not all that much. I guess it is to the minimum. Good, but just in case, you know, since it's not that expensive, and it's probably just 2 liters of oil anyway, so we'll dump the old one out, put the new one in, and we'll start the PTO. All right, so we got that unscrewed, and now let's get the bottom one. Put the bucket right there. It's kind of a problem because this is very close to here, so it's kind of a tight squeeze, but we'll see what the oil looks like. I'm kind of expecting it to be a certain color. Let's just get this without getting our hands all too much dirty, but wishful thinking. All right. Yeah. Well, it's not all that milky, but it is very murky. So, and what I can see, also a bit watery. That is problematic. Yeah, it's a good thing we put that out of there. What do you think, Biba? Yeah, I thought so too. All right, as that's doing its final drips, we can see what was inside. Not really all that appetizing. So now I'm gonna put new oil in. What you usually want to do with gearboxes like this is when you drain it all out, if you really want to deep clean it, you put a bit of diesel in, maybe just run it just a bit, so you know all the gears, clean out the oil, dump the diesel out, and close it up, put the new oil in. But this thing is, well, this thing isn't gonna do 2,000 bales a year anymore. It is fairly old and frail, and I have another baler for that. This is just a revival and kind of a test to see if I can do stuff like this. So just putting in new oil will be well enough for this, because I don't see the point of doing all that deep cleaning. So first thing, we're gonna put that screw in. There we go. Okay, now you can see I put the oil in, and we can put that cap on. Nice. One thing you will notice about the baler is the shape of this shield. This thing has been bent a lot, and when I got the baler, it was bent all the way in. But I kind of just bent it out. I'm kind of procrastinating on kind of just cutting this thing off. Maybe I'll try to fix it sometime in the future, but for now the clutch has enough clearance, so does this part, so it's not gonna bother anybody, and it's gonna prevent I don't know what from happening, but we'll see. Okay, we got the tractor running. Now let's engage here and see the first run of the baler. Oh yeah, whoops. Okay, so what you saw was one of my mistakes. This thing was spinning, but this thing not. Because this baler has like a feature, which is this giant belt that goes on the side. It kind of transfers from PTO to gearbox to the giant flywheel on the back. You can see here, the flywheel does have a safety pin right here, but the thing you have to do is kind of engage that belt with this lever here. It's kind of hard to push down. Try. All right, got it. And now we just slowly release it, and there we go, and it tightens the belt. Now when I turn the tractor on and PTO on, this all should be spinning. Now for the main feature, spin this wheel and engage the daughters. Perfect. Squeeze, but there we go. I'm sorry, B-Way, you gotta hear that old thing rattle here. But don't worry, we'll fix it and we'll get out of here. No need to get angry. Alright, as you can see, everything ran smoothly. Now all we gotta do is just lube up some of these chains, since they haven't seen oil in quite some time. So the other important thing we got to do before we put some hay into this is we're gonna take that knife off, and we're gonna sharpen it a bit because it's looking a bit dull. There we go. I tried putting the baler under some roof, you know, and I kind of realized that the tensioner, both of the tensioners, were stuck completely, and it took me a lot of WD-40, a lot of oil, and some pretty heavy wrenches to finally get it unstuck. They kind of ruined the shaft here a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. Just needed to get unstuck. But yeah, that took around 2 hours for the oil to finally soak in and get through and penetrate everything. Yeah. Well, I'll get back to you when this will be all assembled again.